Yo, what is poppin', my guys? It is your boy Ashley, and today we are bringing you week 4 of the BBL. Now, we are playing Pokemaster Mike, who has been having a pretty solid season so far, and I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely nervous for this matchup because we did come off of a big win last week versus Aaron. We won 2-0, so we're sitting at 2-1 currently with a plus, I think, 3 differential, which is really nice. And I definitely don't mind losing any given week, but I'm really trying to keep my differential up above 0 just because that's just something you should strive for in the draft league format. So I guess real quick we will go over his team to start off with, which, as I said, is very intimidating. So he has Xerneas, Celesteela, Pelipper, Z Zygarde 50, Cofagrigus, Mega Swampert, Ambipom, Z-Crobat, Miltank, Electivire, and Necrozma. So he has a lot of very potent setup threats on his team, which definitely scares me because I haven't really dealt well with setup this season. I've done a lot better versus teams that aren't relying heavily on setup, but I guess I say that. I got dominated by blue. But anyway, let's just go ahead and talk about our team instead of the falters of the past. We went ahead and brought Raichu. I'm going to be reading it. It won't be the same order on your screen because I put them in a different order, but I will be reading them in the order that I have on my team prep sheet. We're starting off as Raichu. This is Choice Scarf Raichu with a Lightning Rod, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Knockoff, and Hidden Power Ice. Fairly straightforward. Enough speed to outspeed anything unboosted on his team, as well as I think possibly a Choice Scarf Xerneas. I do believe, just because Xerneas puts in a lot of work versus my team this week. Milotic is really going to be my main switch in to Xerneas, considering I'm not actually rocking the Assault Vest on Tangrowth, but we'll get into that when we get there. This is a set is basically just to get me some momentum to zip around, knock off items. I felt like that Xerneas was actually one of his better switch-ins to my Raichu if he was more bulky on the special side, especially if he can start setting up Calm Minds and things of that nature. So I liked having the knockoff option in case he was rocking the Assault Vest or the Choice Specs or anything like that, because it would just make it a lot more manageable. But the Hidden Power Ice is for Zygarde, which you can see he did not bring, and Thunderbolt and Volt Switch are pretty self-explanatory. We have our Mega Blaziken with Superpower, Swords Dance, Protect, and Flare Blitz. Now, the reason I went with Superpower this week is because I felt like he would know that Low Kick doesn't exactly do the job this week. There's a lot of Pokemon that Low Kick doesn't really handle very well, such as Manaphy, things of that nature. Some of the other things on his team that I've already forgotten about, even though I just read it 6 seconds ago. So I pretty much did a lot of calcs. I did a lot of calcs, and I pretty much only needed a +2 superpower for 1 or 2 things, such as the Zygarde and some things like that, and I didn't think that he would bring all of the threats. So it just seemed like my best option. Protect, in case this Crobat is Scarfed, because a Scarfed Crobat does have the ability to take me out, obviously, and outspeed me after a +1 speed boost. So pretty much just trying to guarantee that I will have a Protect available on a turn with Crobat coming in, because if he hard switches into it, the Protect won't work, etc, etc. You guys know how Protect works. Migos to Hydreigon is an Expert Belt with Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, and Roost. This thing can pretty freely come in on a Cofagrigus and threaten it out, and just with the Expert Belt do a pretty good bit of damage to anything coming in, provided that I can hit it. Mostly the Expert Belt is just for the Flash Cannon boost on Xerneas, seeing as Dark Pulse only hits the Cofagrigus and Draco Meteor doesn't hit anything on his team for super effective, at least that he brought anyway. So the roost is just to keep up some longevity. I will be forcing switches, and I actually opted for Expert Belt over Life Orb because I thought that I might be able to bluff having the Scarf, and if he decides to try and set up with Xerneas on a turn where I went for a Dark Pulse or something and I can catch it off guard with that Flash Cannon, because I am moderately fast this week, and if he was not super fast Xerneas, like if he decided to go more bulky, I would be able to catch it off guard and do a lot of damage potentially before it gets something like a sub up, and then if it gets a sub up, I'd be able to break it, go down, and then go into the Blaziken to knock it out and start boosting up. So we also have our Tangrowth here. I opted for Rocky Helmet this week because anything that he has that's going to be attacking on the special side is going to be doing a lot of damage to the Tangrowth anyway. And I liked having the option of Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. I also brought Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain on here just to handle everything for the most part. Ideally, obviously, Celesteela is a little bit of a problem, but with the Leech Seed up, I can start chipping away at it and get the Sleep Powder off. And while I do think a special set is the most likely bring this week, I also saw a lot of merit in the Leech Seed kind of heavy slam sort of set because my walls and Tangrowth and Milotic do a pretty good job of walling his team if played correctly. So we also have Wendy's, the Frostlass, which if you guys want to know why it's called Wendy's is because it's like kind of like a joke. You would ask people like, oh, do you like Wendy's? And be like, yeah. It's like, well, you're gonna love when these spikes hit the field because this thing is always rocking spikes. You got spikes, freeze dry, ice shard, and taunt. Ice shard is for the Zygarde. Taunt is for everything, not named Mineshaw, because even a nasty bat Crobat could be devastating considering it severely outspeeds everything on my team, and after a nasty plot can start laying down a lot of damage. We also have freeze dry to hit the Manaphy, and spikes obviously to start stacking those up because Crobat is his defogger and he is much more likely to bring it in an offensive capacity than in a defensive capacity. And then finally we have our Milotic with Haze, Scald, Recover, Toxic, and the Flame Orb. Yeah, the same Milotic set that I've brought almost every match. I'm kind of getting frustrated with how often I have to bring this set. The core of Milotic and Tangrowth is really good defensively, but I am kind of starting to wish that I had another defensive wall because I'm having to run Milotic with the Flame Orb and a little bit of defensive investment a lot more than I initially wanted to. But enough about the team. We're just going to go ahead, hop right in here to the match, which is what you all came here to see, obviously. And we're going to go ahead and kick it off. He is challenging us, and we're going to go right here for Wendy's because this is pretty much the dedicated lead. It is a fantastic Pokemon. I really am liking Frostlass so far this season. It's put me, definitely at least last week, put me in a great winning position. I think this is actually only the second week that I've ended up bringing it. And as you're going to see, he is going to hard switch right out immediately because he does not want to play games with this Frostlass. So I'm going to go right here for the spikes, and this just kind of confirms to me that he might be some sort of boosting Celesteela. So I wanted to get the taunt off. I didn't want him to get an, what's it called? Autonomize up or anything. But as you're going to see, he is going to go straight for the Flash Cannon. So this does tell me that he is a specially invested Celesteela, which is obviously not ideal, but I am able to hang on with my Focus Sash. So I switch out Heroes to not give it a Beast Boost, and I go right into Nova the Raichu because I feel as if this thing is going to be nice to threaten it out. Plus, he does not have a ground type, so I'll be able to just Volt Switch out on anything that he has, as he is going to go right here into his Crobat. So here, I opt to just go straight for the T-Bolt, get a large chunk of damage up on this Crobat, which you can see it barely misses out on the kill. It was a roll, and he went for the U-turn. So I was about to say that I would have rather Volt Switch in that position, but I'm glad that I didn't, just because he would have had momentum any kind of way that it went. So the way he brought this Celesteela in made me think it might be Wakan. So I am just going to go right here out into my Frostlass, and he is going to go for the Earthquake. So the reason this is really bad is because I made a really, really bad play here. I should not have gone out into this Frostlass. He doesn't really have a great way to set up rocks. So I can always bring that thing back in later as a sack or something like that. But now this Celesteela is going to be boosted. Like it's got that special attack boost. And that Volt Switch right there is going to tell me that this is an Assault Vest Celesteela, which is really unfortunate because most of my ways of dealing with this thing are on the special side. I decided to go into my Hydreigon anyway because it covers the Flamethrower play if he's predicting Tangrowth. It also covers the Earthquake play if he is trying to make that to hit the Raichu, if he expected me to stay in and just T-Bolt. And I don't know what else to say. So I just roost up here because it seems like my safest play. But as you're going to see, that Flash Cannon does so much damage. I would be able to roost stall a little bit. Or at least potentially get some hits off and hope for Dark Pulse flinches. But because he is boosted at +1, I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to switch out right here into my Milotic, and that Flash Cannon doesn't do that much damage, but as you're going to see here, he gets the special defense drop, which really sucks, because seeing that he's Assault Vest, he almost certainly has the ability to pack Giga Drain on this Celesteela, and because I am at -1, I could have hazed and gotten rid of this thing's boost, but because I got the minus Spadef drop, I'm pretty much forced to switch out here, so that is a really, really unfortunate situation for me, because this thing gets, I mean, a little bit of health back, but as again I said, most of my ways of dealing with this are on the special side. Any health it's getting is really bad. So I know I can live this Flamethrower right here due to my Calx unless he gets a crit, and I opt to go for the Leech Seed, because any way of just having to eventually force this thing out is going to be my best play. It is a huge problem currently. I'm basically going to have to sack one of my Pokemon to this Celesteela to get something in. But on the flip side of that, if I do sack something, it's going to be at +2 speed, and if it's not chipped enough, then I will not be able to handle it. So I'm going to go right into Hydreigon here, because I know I can live a Giga Drain, and I felt like he would predict the Milotic coming in, which thankfully he did. Had he gone for the Flash Cannon there, that pretty much would have been game just right from the jump. But because he didn't, I am allowed to get a little bit of Leech Seed recovery and go straight for the Dark Pulse, basically hoping for the flinch, which we actually did get, which is really lucky, because after a little bit of after a little bit of Leech Seed, it is going to put us up in a pretty decent range of HP, and I am able to knock it out with the Dark Pulse. So that is a huge threat gone at the expense of losing a lot of health across a lot of my Pokemon. My Milotic is severely crippled. My Tangrowth is severely crippled, my Hydreigon is severely crippled, and he now basically gets a free switch into his Xerneas right here. So I didn't want to risk him doing any sort of shenanigans. I just decided to sack off Hydreigon here. I went for Flash Cannon on the off chance that he decided that he didn't want to play around, or that he did want to play around and try and set up a Calm Mind or something like that. But as you can see, he just went straight for the Moonblast. So in my mind, I think that he might be a Choice Specs set, because Choice Specs does so much work to my team, and he is going to go for the Substitute. And the reason that sucks is because I went for the Toxic. So now he is behind a sub. I cannot break his sub with Scald. I just can't. There's no way in hell I'm going to be able to break this thing's sub with a Scald. And he is going to go for the Calm Mind, meaning I especially cannot break this thing's sub with a Scald. Depending on his HP investment, I cannot even, I can almost certainly 2-hit KO it now, but if he goes for a Calm Mind on the next turn, then I may not even be able to 3-hit KO it. So I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Scald here just to get some damage off on the sub. I figure he might start going for Calm Minds or something like that, but I know that I can live any hit that he wants to go for, even after taking this Flame Orb damage, and get a haze off. Now, at this point in time, I've pretty much accepted that I have to sack my Milotic to this Xerneas. I really don't have much of an option, but I cannot let it set up, basically. I'm just going to click Haze here until he kills me. That is pretty much the only way that I could see myself winning this match, is hazing and hazing and hazing, going into Raichu and Volt Switching to break its sub, and then sacking off something else, and then trying to kill it. That's really the only chance I had in this game at this point, because he is in a very good position off of that prediction with the Toxic, and is able to basically just keep setting up Calm Minds. But I'm really not playing games. Oh, I'm sorry, I went for the Recover here, because as I saw earlier, I am able to live. I believe. I may have made a mistake by going for the Recover there. I actually cannot remember if I'm able to get another Haze off, but it has been a little bit of time past since I've played another game since then, so the games kind of get mixed up in my head. But I guess we'll find out here as he is going to go for the Moonblast, and I actually do live on 5%, which is really nice. He does get the special attack drop, but that's fine because I'm not trying to break the sub anyway. I'm just going to go for the Haze and set this thing back to 0 and die to the Flame Orb. So that's pretty good, because I don't have to keep playing games with this thing. I can just die off here and go into my Raichu, although we're in a very bad position because now he is up 5 to, I believe, 3, and all I have left are really my offensive mons. I do have Tangrowth, but it's not Assault Vest this week. If it was Assault Vest, I would probably have a little bit better of a time facing off against this thing, but as I said, I went Rocky Helmet this week, so that obviously isn't the case. I go right here into Sicko, and he is going to just fire off a Moonblast and I believe take me out here, because there's really no way I could live Yeah, he is just going to go ahead and take me out, which is good because I think, I mean, I do have the Sludge Bomb, so it just would have added more time to the game, I guess, had he been able to set up a sub there. So here, basically my only choice that I can go for here is just a T-Bolt and hope to do enough damage to put it in range of Mega Blaziken. So he is going to fire off the Moonblast there and knock out Raichu. So now I'm down to just my Mega Blaziken. This leftover Xerneas is sitting at about pretty much right above the point. Like, it is a roll, and it is a roll. I think around like a 50-50 roll. I'm not sure what his defensive investment is, but it's about a 50-50 roll right here for me to knock him out. And I believe I just go for the Protect. I was really hoping he wouldn't sub here, just because I'm not running enough speed investment to outspeed this Xerneas. I have very little speed investment this week. Well, I mean, I have a tiny bit of speed investment, but not enough for me to feel comfortable. However, the mistake that I made there is, had I just gone straight up for the Flare Blitz there, I could have potentially knocked it out, because as you're going to see, that last round of leftovers is going to allow him to live the attack, and he is going to knock me out with the Moonblast, and that is a 5-0 loss to Pokemaster Mike. So he just brought all the right prep this week. He played really well. I think that the game really turned against my favor when I sacked off the Frostlass. I did not think that played through very well at all, and that Celesteela was able to chip my team down to a point where I couldn't really handle the Xerneas, and that was only made worse by his ability to sub up on my Milotic. So again, great game to Mike. This one was a little disappointing to me just because I felt like I had pretty solid prep. It just wasn't as good as his prep. A lot of my prep was kind of designed to work better on equal footing. This team isn't really best played from behind. Just the structure of the team that I drafted in general. We have some solid defensive walls and some solid late game sweepers. So if I don't put myself into a position to be able to sweep late game, it is really hard to pull off a win. And since we got so far behind just from the beginning with that Celesteela being so powerful, with that +1 special attack boost, it was definitely an uphill battle. So that really sucks because now we're at a negative differential. We're at -2. We are at 2-2 in the league, so at least we're dead even in that regard. But we do play Saida next week, who has a very, very solid squad. So I guess you guys will just have to come around next week and see how that goes. Don't have much more to say. Definitely go check out Mike's channel. It will be in the description down below. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.